We've heard of Amazon Flex. We've heard of Whole Foods, Amazon Prime Video. But have we heard of Amazon Rideshare? Or I like to call Amazon Taxi. The rumor has it Amazon is trying to acquire a little-known autonomous vehicle company called, I forget what it's called. What's it called?
Zoox.
That's right. I looked at my computer screen and I saw Zoom. I'm like, wait, I was about to say Zoom, but then Zoom is like the video chat that we use. So that's topic number one, Gridwise. Topic number two, Uber is threatening to fire 158,000 rideshare drivers in California. I didn't even think there were that many drivers in California. And apparently, their job's in jeopardy. And various other topics. Welcome back, Gridwisers. This is Jay.
Brandon.
And you are on the Gridwise podcast, episode 31.
Episode 31. Come a long way.
What a long season, dude. I mean, normally seasons like Game of Thrones, each season, 8 to 10 episodes.
Let's not talk about Game of Thrones.
Seinfeld. How many episodes in Seinfeld per season? Like 20?
Back in the day, I feel like back in the day, everything had like 20 episodes.
Yeah, like
season,
20.
Like 24.
And here we are. Gridwise Rideshare Weekly. We are competing for the title of most episodes in a season.
We're going to get to 100. It's going to be like an anime. Like if you watch anime, they have like 125 episoes in like
all of our episodes will turn to the Dragon Ball Z episodes, just like 30 minutes of you and I just like wondering about a topic and then never talking about it.
Just powering up.
Yeah, just powering up.
Just powering up. But kind of interesting topic today with Amazon. Who they're, like you said, they're purchasing, or they are in the process of bidding for Zoox. A lot of like acquisitions going on right now because we had like the Grubhub, Uber potential acquisition as well.
Which apparently is failing, but we'll get to that in a little bit too.
We'll get to that. That's going to be interesting. But Zoox is an autonomous vehicle company that they actually mostly focus on delivery. So it makes a ton of sense for Uber if you've ever, or not Uber, but Amazon, if you've ever like, got anything delivered, it makes a ton of sense for them to try to, purchase an autonomous fleet for delivery purposes. But the thought here is obviously for delivery drivers, that's interesting. What happens to like our Amazon Flex at that point? But then also they're thinking that this could be an entry point for Amazon to get in the rideshare space, which I think then would probably, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jay, but will put them in every single industry on earth at that point, which would be quite the feat for them.
If we didn't already include last mile delivery as its own industry in combination with taxi services, then yeah, they would be. So now they're basically competing for ride sharing, the gig economy, also taxi, also autonomously. So that I think that would put them in everything.
Autonomously.
How crazy is this?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of Gridwisers noticed, but Amazon's in everything. They've got their tentacles spread into almost every segment, almost every industry that we know of, except space. They're not in aerospace, are they?
I don't know. Do they have any equity in SpaceX?
I don't know. That's definitely a good question for Gridwise. Just let us know in the comments. Do your own research for us.
Yeah. But what's interesting is Jay, how far do you think we are away from autonomous cars? If you had to guess, how far do you think we are?
With my limited background in artificial intelligence and pulling stuff out of my butt from thin air, my opinion is we are pretty far from autonomous vehicles, because I'm just thinking it from a perspective of some of the worst trips I've had to do on Uber. There ain't no way no robot car would be able to figure out, I gotta go pick up this dude in some back alley that he met was the opposite corner of this intersection, or something strange like that. Like, I feel like just think about like your worst trips ever navigating, and just think about now what would a computer do in that situation, and you instantly you just be like, no way, that requires a human being to reason and deduce what to do in that situation.
That's a really interesting point, because like a lot of times we think about, and there are like a ton of fringe cases in terms of, you know, just pure driving, but that pickup can get tricky.
Oh my goodness.
You
so
know,
tricky.
that pickup can get, like, if you're not there, what the fuck is the car gonna do? You know, like,
Exactly.
what's this car gonna do?
What if like GPS? I mean, I think of a million reasons why artificial intelligence would just not know about that situation.
I agree with you that I think AI is pretty far away. We actually, it's like a year ago, we had a pretty lengthy blog post about why, at least I felt that autonomous vehicles were going to be, you know, 10 years away. So drivers need not fret at all. But one of the reasons that I thought, and I think that autonomous vehicles are going to be pretty far away, is because there's like this problem of utilization, right? And the fact that autonomous vehicles are going to be super expensive. So it's similar to like planes, where if an airline doesn't like literally always use a plane like 20 hours of the day, then they could easily lose money. And they're obviously losing a shit ton of money right now. But autonomous vehicles will be kind of a similar thing, where if they don't have near 100% or 90% utilization, meaning they're always getting rides, then they could easily lose money. However, right now, Uber and Lyft, they don't have it's like 50%, 60% maybe in terms of utilization. Don't quote me on that, but not like super high. So given that, it would be hard to actually make the figures work out unless you have something like delivery. And then so that's where Amazon kind of has a little bit of an edge, because, okay, can they leverage their autonomous vehicles not only for moving people, but also for moving goods? And if they can figure that out, then okay, maybe it makes a little bit more sense to be a little bit quicker than thought. But there's still like a lot of hurdles to get through.
It makes total sense that last mile delivery solutions would work better than hauling people around, because people are dynamic. People's needs and changes can be very fluid, but parcel delivery, especially last mile, it's not really that fluid. You just need to get it from your distribution center to the home address.
Right.
So I see a lot of, and routes can be standardized.
Right.
Routes aren't fluid at all. You can standardize. In fact, UPS already standardizes routes. A lot of the major shipping companies.
Yeah.
I think I heard they're not allowed to make any left-hand turns, because in the United States, at left hand, you would stop at red lights too much, and that would waste time and gas.
But I wonder if, for instance, like Amazon Flex, like they're not necessarily standardized routes. I wonder like how much more inefficient it is. And if like you are doing like last mile I don't know. Like I guess like they would be smart enough to figure out the most ideal route, right? I'm assuming if you can make AI, you can figure out like how to make the most ideal route. So
to answer your question, how far do I think autonomous vehicle is out? I would say for things aren't related to delivering and transporting human beings around, I would say in the case of delivery, probably pretty close. Maybe within the next 5 years, we'll have fully autonomous vehicles that do all sorts of delivery, especially for maybe even drones. A lot of people don't even talk about drones that much, but drones came out of nowhere. I remember being like, oh, cool, there's a thing that flies itself. And the next thing you know, everyone has drones that like can take videos for their YouTube channels. And then I don't even really think about it. I think it's like, ask me 15 years ago if you told me that there were these miniature airplanes that you could fly with your mobile phone. I'm like, oh, what? My mind is blown. But like these days, I don't even think about it, because it just seems so normal. So I feel like in the next 5 years, we're going to be in that normalcy where people don't even bat an eye. Like I order something on Amazon, and next thing you know, a drone delivers via some air path.
I think it's going to be drones
through my window back there, drops it on my porch.
Have you? Yeah. There's like this comedian on Netflix that has like this bit. He has a special on Netflix. I forgot his name. He has this bit about how Amazon's going to eventually just put stuff into our like hands before we even realize we want it.
Because of artificial intelligence, because AI just guesstimates and predicts what you need and what you want. And dude, that's hilarious. Being a good comedian, you have to be very insightful and witty, right? You have to be witty because you have to come up with wit on the spot. But then you also have to be insightful to create these jokes that are super relevant, because funny humor is like tying things of relevancy like together that people don't anticipate, right? You could like connect the dots that no one thinks so. It could be possible. And then it makes sense. And then you go, oh, that's hilarious, because that's what funny is. So it's like, because of that, I feel like comedians, the really funny and successful ones, are so accurate sometimes with their predictions, because they're able to like look outside the box and tie these like connected dots between different topics.
I wonder when he thinks autonomous vehicles are going to come. Maybe we should hit him up for his predictions.
You know, I would say within the next several years, autonomous vehicles would be
several. You got to go out on a limb and have an exact prediction.
12 years. Which it's not divisible by 7. So let's go 14, because I said 7.
Okay. You think it's going to be 14 years until autonomous
14 years until fully autonomous becomes...
Well, okay, so are we talking about like delivery, or are we talking about moving people?
Moving people on the roads. Everybody has autonomous. I think in the next 17 years, everyone will have autonomous.
Everyone? Okay. I think that
everybody,
you are going to start to see more autonomous delivery in the next 5, or not in the next 5 years, but between 5 to 7 years, I would expect. I would expect to see, I wouldn't expect to see people being moved significantly for 10 to 15 years though. So, I mean, from a driver standpoint, if you're doing delivery or, moving people, like right now, I just don't think it's a concern really at all. That stuff is just so far away that it doesn't make sense to worry about.
I'm just trying to base it off of how much technological innovation has happened in 15-year segments. So 15 years ago versus now.
Where were we 15 years ago? Where were we 15? We were at Razor phones.
Yeah, we were
Razor phones for sure.
Pre-social media, pre-gig anything. Everything was.
What do you think is the biggest technological leap in the last 15 years?
The rise of the smartphone, without a doubt, hands down. The rise of a computer in your hand that can access the wide distribution of the internet. So in conjunction with the smartphone. So now you have this like tool that can reach out to the web anywhere in the world, anytime, with high bandwidth data streams. You don't have to dial up to a modem and wait overnight to download a song on Napster. That's 3 megabytes, right? You can upload high resolution videos, live stream it from
Napster days,
from a battleground in the Middle East for everybody to watch on Facebook. Everywhere in the world. I think that's hands down the biggest technological advancement that humanity has ever seen in the last 15 years. The rise of those two things. And it's like spawned a whole industry of new industries. I mean, we were just talking about Amazon Web Services, cloud computing.
Yeah.
Google, what GCP, Google Cloud Services.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that
social media.
The things that I think are huge technological advancements are simply ways that make communicating between people faster. And because that's kind of like our major weakness as humans is that it's difficult for us to pass information from one another, right? Whereas if I wanted to, for instance, now, if I wanted to send you, like, I could send you a huge file with tons of information over, like, Slack or email or something like that. But if I wanted to tell you a bunch of information, it would take, like, hours for me to just, even if I have, even if we have internet, even if we have a video call, I have to, like, talk to you about it and kind of walk you through everything. But that's become a lot faster now because, again, we can kind of communicate over internet now a lot faster. We can obviously, phones were like a huge innovation. That communication gets faster. So as we figure out ways to for one human brain to get the same information as another human brain, I think that's where you're going to see like the biggest innovations going forward into the future.
That is quite the analysis.
It's like imagine if this is such a tangent off of anything rideshare, but like imagine like one day if we could just like sync up, like literally just put like a wire in each other's head and instantly know everything about whatever. Like if a meeting, wasn't, oh, we need to talk about this. It was just, let me sync up in your head for 10 seconds and then boom, we're on the same page.
Dude, we would explode in innovation, or we would implode because everybody starts thinking the same.
I don't know.
That's a really good thought experiment.
It's interesting though.
Something I hope a comedian picks that up and makes a joke. See, I made that funny because I tied two disrelated subjects together. Made you laugh. Did. Maybe I should do stand up. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Should Gridwise Jay do stand up? Because he's a clown.
All right, let's get back. This is supposed to be a rideshare podcast.
Back on track. So 158,000 California drivers. Uber says they could all lose their rideshare jobs
if forced to become
employees,
which is such a this topic right now is so big. This is so huge in the fight in California. Everyone's paying attention because that's going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that not only are they saying if they're become employees, then 158,000 drivers aren't going to be able to drive anymore. But they also are saying that prices for rides are going to increase by 20% to 120%. In your favorite, place in California, Inland Empire, they could see prices rise as much as 120%. They actually have like this little kind of dashboard here in San Francisco. Prices are going to rise 20 to 30%. LA, they say 30 to 40%. Palm Springs, they say 70 to 80%. No idea where these numbers come from.
I was going to say, it probably came from a Macy's sale. Sounds like
what?
A Macy's sale. Anywhere from 20 to 120% off. We don't know. Just take it at a register and we'll figure it out then. And it turns out to be like 15% off if you apply for a Macy's credit card.
Yeah. Macy's does just throw out. Just throw out sales like it's no tomorrow.
Yeah, last sale of the year.
Yeah. It's like they'll have like a 45% off sale. Back to like a 65% off sale to a 30% off sale to like a 70% off sale. Every time I walk into Macy's,
doesn't matter. Any time of year, there's always a sale going on. Makes me wonder. Hold on a second. Something's not right.
Yeah.
How can there always be sale? What days am I getting screwed? What are they phoning me?
If you're not buying stuff on sale at Macy's, you are absolutely getting ripped off. You are 1,000% getting ripped. Same thing with actually Banana Republic, actually, and
they're always
like
on
the
sale.
Gap. Always on sale. Do not buy anything for regular price at Banana Republic or the Gap, or else you are getting basically scammed. So little tidbit.
Getting that banana. That's what you get.
Yeah. So that's where Uber got these numbers from in terms of what the prices we're going to be increasing here, because they say like 50 to 60% increase in Orange County. So
I feel like they're just they're absolutely just pulling numbers out of their ass.
I mean,
oh yeah, we don't know. We expect the price to increase 127%.
I don't know. I mean, who knows what would actually happen? I don't think that they have like a great grasp of what's really going to happen, or else they would, probably have a better grasp of a lot of things right now. But I mean, I can definitely see how you would see a price increase. And if you look at, New York, those drivers that are now having like an hourly pay, like you definitely are seeing some, not an hourly pay. It's like, what's New York structure now? New York City?
What structure?
Because like, I don't know why I know this. I don't know why I'm completely blanking on this, but they essentially have like
stop drivers from becoming
right, because they have like a base. But they have like a base hourly.
Yeah. The base,
pay.
I think it works out to be. Oh, I don't remember either. Was it $15 or $30 per hour?
I don't. It's not 30. It's not 15. It's like, I think it's like 22 or something like that. But they have like their kind of, base there. And then so you have a lot of drivers that can't get online just like whenever they want, which drivers hate there.
That's what they mean by threatening 158,000 drivers.
Yeah.
A lot of drivers,
So you definitely,
they don't think about that. Like, if you do have these restrictions to how much you make, like minimums, these companies don't have to guarantee you the ability to work whenever you want. Like, you may not even be able to work that day. Sorry, can't go online today because 1,000 other drivers have already taken your spots. We only have room for 1,000. So drivers, they don't think about these things. Some drivers, they don't think about these things. Like, oh yeah, let's get them to make us, employees. So here's the thing: a lot of drivers, they equate being employees to getting treated fairly and making more money, and those two are not together. They don't go hand in hand. Just because you're
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Like, just because you're an employee doesn't mean that you will make more. So that's like a disjointed thought that people have, because they're thinking about minimum wage. They're thinking about, oh, well, now we're guaranteed a minimum. But what they don't think is all of the things that come with having more control over someone's income, and that is determining when and where they work. I sound like us. We'll make you more money. We'll let you know when and where to drive. But instead, it's like we determine when you work, where you work, and how long you work for. And that doesn't mean think about it. What other company employs 158,000 drivers? I mean, think about it. What is the largest?
Well, they employ 209,000 in California.
So what large corporation? I think like any large corporation out there. You think like GE, Amazon,
Disney,
Tesla. How much they employ? Maybe 30,000 to 50,000 employees.
Yeah.
That's the corporate structure, right? So you have, what did you say, 250,000+ contractors?
209,000 drivers in California.
Dude, you make all those employees, you'd be one of the largest employers in the state of California. I think the first would be either Walmart or the government, and then third would be Uber and their contract drivers. There's no way you would be able to afford as a company to pay all of 250,000 people that much money in wages, guaranteed.
I think as Gridwise, we're very much pro. We're just pro driver. So whatever the drivers will, let it be. But I think it's worth understanding that if you are an employee, you're obviously going to have. There's going to be some pros, but there's also going to be some cons potentially where, you're not, and flexibility is a big thing for all drivers, right?
And your job security.
It's flexibility, job security. Like, you generally are pretty secure in being able to drive for Uber or Lyft or whatever. That you a little bit more kind of, you got to be kind of a good driver or whatever, Uber or Lyft or whatever.
Do you think the drivers with a sub 4.7 rating, you think they're going to be allowed to stay on the platform? No. You think the drivers out there who have this jaded mentality of zero customer service, all I'm doing is getting a Pax from A to B, Pax suck, Pax are rude, right? There's a lot of drivers out there that have that mentality. Do you think the drivers that are waking up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and driving at 2 a.m., taking breaks whenever they want, waking up late?
You can't necessarily drive whenever you want.
Yeah, you're not waking up at 2 p.m. when they make you an employee. All right, your ass is getting up at predetermined times during the rush hour when there's demand to be had. Okay, your ass is getting up 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. for a shift, and then you're cut off, and then you're back online 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the dinner evening rush, and that's it. Then that's your work day. Not many people think about these things. They just think, they think I'm gonna get my guaranteed minimum wage, right, from Uber because of the laws, and I'll get to still maintain the lifestyle that I want, which is to drive whenever I want. No, 100%. That's not how economics work. That's not how businesses work. Things have to make sense. And
it would. Yeah, things wouldn't be very. It wouldn't be just like a snap your finger, boom, everything's good, right? I mean, again, like we're not. I don't think we're necessarily against like drivers.
I'm definitely not
being
against it. I want to say like
employed.
I'm totally for drivers making more money. I am not for drivers making less. I think Uber and Lyft have been boning drivers for the longest time, and they should be paying them more, right?
Yeah.
So, but I just want to shine light to the idea of being so vocal about AB5 and wanting to be classified as a classification that doesn't even fit the mold. I mean, we're talking about classifying contractors that do gig work into something that predates gig work, right? Like you're trying to classify this, like comparing apples and oranges before apples and oranges, like a new fruit that's newly discovered. That not even the same. Gig work itself is not the same as employee or independent contractor. There needs to be a new classification, a classification that works for gig work, right? The one that actually classifies it correctly with the right mix, the right ingredients. Otherwise, if you're using everything that employee status, that classification has been around since, I don't know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt in like the 1920s to 30s. I mean, this is an outdated classification system, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it would be interesting. It's kind of, the thought experiment of, okay, if you invented employment statuses, what would make sense for today? And I think that's more, I think that's a little bit more of what we should be doing, because again, like everyone wants to be able to maintain that flexibility. Like 70-80% of drivers drive because they love the flexibility. Now, but at the same time, hey, you don't want to be left out to dry from an unemployment standpoint. You don't want to be, completely left out to dry from like a sick standpoint. You want to have better benefits. You want to have simply, something like a expense reimbursement. I'm definitely very, very, very much in favor of drivers pushing AB5 with the goal actually of just getting a better deal.
There needs to be a better deal. I mean, coronavirus, this pandemic has really shed light into the situation here. So far, remember when Dara wrote a letter to the White House and then the speakers of the House begging that Uber's drivers, you guys, the contractors, us, we don't get left out on the CARES Act. We don't get left out on stimulus money. And the government listened. That itself shed light on just how broken the system currently is. Like you said, you need that safety net that's afforded with regular employment.
Right.
It really brought to light that drivers need a safety net still. Those of you who aren't technically employees, you can't just be left out in the dust, because look what happened when the pandemic hit. 2.5 million drivers were now at risk of losing income and also contracting illness and not having enough to pay for it.
Right. And no one's rushing back to drive right now. No one wants to rush back to drive. It doesn't feel safe right now. And a lot of drivers that are like on unemployment right now are making pretty decent amount. And I don't expect
essential workers are pissed off. The ones that are still making minimum wage and they still have to work, because they could be collecting minimum from the government in addition to state, which is like double what they're making, but they can't because they didn't lose their jobs.
But yeah, obviously it's gonna like that. Those unemployment benefits are gonna run out. Drivers right now, not necessarily rushing to get out. It's not the safest environment, obviously, in the world. You have a lot of drivers with pre-existing conditions. You don't want, you want people to have some ability to have a little bit of a safety net. And, personally, I think AB5 is great in terms of pushing leverage. Get a better deal. They were offering what? What are they offering right now? 120% of minimum wage. You can get that up to 200. Get all those expenses reimbursed. Get some sick days. Get some unemployment.
Yeah, they're not going to offer you the best deal that they can handle, right? They're gonna offer you
No.
what they think you'd be satisfied with.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
this
what
is-
they think, but there's a better deal. There's a better deal.
Haggle, bargain, amplify.
There's a better deal. But like, and again, AB5 means leverage. That's why it's important. It's important to have the people that really seriously want AB5 and want employment status. That is incredibly important because those are the people that are going to really be pushing the leverage. I don't know how they'll feel if, okay, drivers are just getting 220% or something like that of minimum wage plus like expenses and some benefits, sick pay, maybe unemployment. That feels like a pretty solid package to me if you can build that. But that AB5 piece to me is really important because you put so much pressure not only in California but across the country, across the world really, on Uber and Lyft, these delivery companies as well. Sometimes the delivery companies kind of skate by this whole thing, but you guys as well. But yeah, a lot of pressure there. So get a deal. Get a deal. There's a deal to be made.
There's always a deal to be made. I think that's time's up for us, Brandon.
This was a long one. I feel like we've been talking for like a while.
35 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't. I feel like we didn't even get to everything, but
We did not.
I feel like
we can always
people-
save those for another podcast.
the people are sick of hearing us. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Guys, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video. And if you're listening on the podcast platform of your choice, make sure you like those too. And continue to follow us on those platforms. Once again, this is Jay.
And Brandon.
And we'll see you on the next one.